Her voice actually cracked with emotion. Gideon nodded solemnly as they watched the parchment burn. Without prompting, she picked up a small jug and said in a mere whisper, "This I give you back to the water." She poured the water into the bowl. It turned grey with the ash and bits of parchment floated to the top. Gideon said in an equally soft voice, "I give my cares and my worries away. I give my love and my duty away. Be free." She repeated what he said and it really did feel better. She blinked rapidly. When she looked up at Gideon, he saw that as a signal and moved to wrap his arms around her. She pressed her face to his chest, but the tears caught in her chest, making it ache. Gideon stroked his hand through her hair but didn't say anything more. Gideon found Marvin in a pleasant hotel in the posh sector in Moscow. He was in the lounge and very drunk. He was waving his cup at a waiter asking for more. Gideon stopped in front of him. Marvin frowned up at him, until he finally placed him. "Ah, the dragon. What brings you here? Are you going to kill me?" Gideon shook his head and pushed the sleeves up of his shirt. Marvin had been in enough noble circles to know what the tattoos on his arms meant. Marvin raised an eyebrow. "So you claimed her? I take it she is still alive." "Man, I really didn't think Moria had the guts to shoot someone." Gideon covered his arms again. "That is because you don't see people, you only see what you want to see." Working on the buttons at his wrist, Gideon continued. "You are to leave her alone." Marvin put his cup down and stood up, but he had forgotten how drunk he was and his legs struggled to keep him upright. He recovered quickly and poked Gideon's chest with a finger. "I told you once, she is my girl and in the end she will do anything for me." Gideon shook his head. "She didn't do this for you. She did this to find a way to be herself. Now she is free, she will never need you in her life. She can move on." Marvin snorted. "We'll see." Both of them looked to the side when Talon said, "No, you will leave her alone." Gideon was astonished. He hadn't sensed the man approaching and Gideon was very good at that. Talon moved closer. "Hara is not your family anymore, Marvin. You left her for dead. You don't do that to family. So you go on believing she is dead and stay out of her life. If you don't, then you will have more than the dragon to worry about." Marvin grunted and sat back down. A servant came up and filled his glass. He gave a cocky grin. "Fine. Have it your way." He waved them off. Gideon and Talon walked away. After a moment, Gideon said, "Thank you." Talon said coldly, "Just treat her right or you will have to worry about me. You understand?" Gideon raised an eyebrow. "Really? Really? And you better take me seriously." "Oh, I do. I didn't hear you sneaking up before. You are one fine sneak. I want to be able to sleep at night." Talon snorted at Gideon's teasing. Hara pointed to something and Liam reached forward to tighten it. The two of them stepped back and Hara said, "Well, turn it on. You aren't going to see if it works unless you test it." Liam grinned and flipped the switch. The engine turned over and he whooped. Hara grinned at her student. She turned, expecting Gideon to be there, and he was. She smiled at him. "We just doubled our power output thanks to Liam here." Liam blushed. "It was nothing. Hara showed me how to make the engine more efficient." Gideon stepped forward and looked over the engine. He asked, "What does it run on?" Hara grinned. "Water." He shook his head. "This is no steam engine." She shrugged. Though it ran on water, she wouldn't call it a steam engine either. She motioned to Liam to carry on with his testing and turned to walk out with Gideon. He offered an arm and she took it and leaned in against him. Hara said, "It means we will be able to get to places quicker. We can take on priority cargo. It should be more lucrative." They walked out onto the deck. There was no one else there. They came to the railing and she let go of his arm to lean on the railing. Angel came out of her hiding place to take her usual place on the railing. She tilted her head and opened her wings a little, most likely pretending she was the one flying instead of the blazing blunderbuss. Hara took a deep breath. Gideon asked behind her, "Are you happy here?" She glanced behind her to look at him. She said, "Yeah, I am." She realized then she had no idea what his feelings were when it came to the blazing blunderbuss. She reached out for him and tugged on his shirt so he was closer. "Do you like it here? I can always take you back to your apartment in the city." Gideon shook his head and stepped even closer. He said, "We are two made one." Hara wrinkled her nose. "You say that but..." He nodded. "I know you are not ready for more than what we have now. I have lived for a very long time. I can wait." She smiled up at him. "I trust you, you know. Not like other men." She put her arms around his neck. "I think I can handle a few kisses for the moment." He bowed his head and lightly brushed his lips over hers. He pulled back a little. "I think I can handle a few kisses as well." He kissed her again, but this time he was fierce, claiming her, and she loved it.